Well, hello the internet, it's Ghost here, and welcome back to episode 50 of Minecraft Creative, in which, once again, I have absolutely zero idea what I'm building, which is just so helpful, isn't it? I know that we're doing some smaller details, I think. Oh no, timeline-wise, it looks like we're going to be working on a little shack today, because I am slowly trying to finish off sections of this project. I don't really have a timeline or an idea of how big it's actually going to be. But we're building stuff. So I started by kind of just running around the little streets and trying to work out, was there something missing there? Couldn't actually figure anything out. So I started terraforming a section on, if you recall, a couple weeks ago, I think it was now, we built a path going up the side of a mountain with a load of rocks. On that first kind of mountain ledge before you go up to the gas temple, I am building a little house in there. And I really wanted to work on texturing this time. Because I would say that probably, like, other than roofs, because I hate doing them, one of the things... Oh, that's the kettle boiling downstairs. Okay. One of the things I'm weakest at in Minecraft is actually texturing my builds properly, which I am working on. I did something yesterday I'm particularly proud of. So I went in and I built up a frame, and even though normally I'd make the interior a bit bigger, I wanted to make sure that the actual size of the house was how I wanted it. That was what I was more concerned about, the external rather than the internal, because what I ended up doing a couple episodes later was really starting to look at the composition of this section from as many angles as possible, because there's lots of areas where there's lots and lots of really thick foliage, and there's other areas where there's like nothing. And I'd like to apologise if you can hear cars or stuff, because my window is open, because it's actually a relatively breezy day here, and that means we can make my room go cold again. Touch wood. Surprisingly, it's not been too bad a weather in the UK this year. Like, normally I dread the summer. I hate heat waves. But it's been okay. And I have to say, it was when I was in France and Belgium, which that video is definitely out by this point, and the Shuttleworth ones are going to be coming soon once I download the footage and get on with it. But I did find the fact that it was dry heat most of the time over there. When we went, because it's like the really big heat wave that the UK had, we then left for France and whatnot. It was actually much more pleasant. So going back to the build, because that's what we're realistically meant to be talking about, I used pale oak trunk for the kind of the pillar support bits. The roof is a combination of different deep slates and some blackstone, and then it's all spruce with the exception of a bit of dark wood signs, just to try and add a few darker spots to it. I think I saw the signs being used in a Hermitcraft video and went, oh, I'll have to implement that at some point, and it's only taken me like a month to actually get around to doing it. I then checked all sides of the house and then tried to figure out the next steps. I wanted to make sure that I viewed it as, even though they probably would venture down into the city to go and get food, I wanted this area to be relatively self-sufficient. So that meant putting in a little allotment next to the house that could make various plants. I'm going to move my microphone closer to me because I'm deciding to sit back in my chair. That's helpful. I settled on carrots, potatoes, and beetroots as being my main plants. I think I did end up putting in a little bit of wheat to make bread, but it was mostly carrots and potatoes and a few beetroots in there just to add that extra bit of colour. I also added in berries around the place. Again, colour, but also, well, it mixes up between matching the red of the beetroots, but also adding in another shade of green. I think that is one thing that's a little bit of a shame about all of the different greenish plants that we have. They are all greens, but they're all relatively similar greens, and I think the bush is a slightly different one, but it didn't really stand out up in this area, which is a shame. But I let's be honest, I doubt they're going to add any more green plants into the game. I think they're probably a bit fed up with that. I'm genuinely curious how many more updates this game can do, because there is a lot of stuff in there, and every time I think, yeah, I don't really expect any more big drops, they're like, oh, here's a big one. I'm very excited for when we get shelves. I'm very excited for when we get all the copper stuff, which is why I'm currently kind of holding off on a build idea, because I want to have all of the copper things before I start building with it. There's like, under this mountain, there's like a tunnely bit that goes through. I'm going to build some sort of temple to the copper golems in there. At least that's my plan. And then I will build stuff in and around that. Maybe we'll build more hobbit holes. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I then went in and added some outside furniture, and then started doing a little bit more terraforming. Oh, I built a well. I wanted to really use the decorative elements, the different blocks that are in this game, because I don't necessarily do that. Dug it down, put black stone at the bottom, which ended up not really being that important. Put a chain all the way through at some point, and then built the rest of the well. Or is that how I did the other one? I think that's how I did the other one, because I have done 2 now. I built up the top of it, and I kept changing it because I wasn't happy with it. What is my phone doing? Okay, one thing I hate about the phone make that I'm on, it is an iPhone, it might be an 11, I'm not totally sure, is whenever I sit it horizontally on my desk to watch videos, then if I switch it off, it doesn't immediately bring up my home screen when I go to think. It's like, here's pictures, or unlock iPhone to view photos. It's like, that's not what I want you to do. That's not what I want. Anyways, going back to the well, I kept kind of tweaking the shape of it to make sure I was happy with it from all sides. It looked okay looking out towards the coast, but then I decided that the other angle wasn't very good and I wanted to add more shaping. I then got rid of the rain, which originally I regretted because I was like, oh, well, I don't really get the atmosphere. We were going to look at the atmosphere later. I then decided that the edge of the roof looked like it stuck out way too far, so I took a blue fence and put it down the side of the house like a pipe. And that just kind of helped reshape bits. It made no change to the actual shape itself, but it helped kind of convince the eye that that is in fact only one block out. I then added more bushes and whatnot just to try and add more dimension to the area without needing to add structures or more rocks, because I didn't want this face to have lots of rocks, as I don't know what I'm going to be building below it. There will be stuff down there. It's trying to make it so that slowly as we move further back into the city, it's not really a city, it's more like a harbour town at this point. I don't think we're going to go full city size, because there's then loads and loads of farmers' fields that are getting implemented in a farmhouse. I think it's going to be an odd build. I don't really know how to not make it odd at this point. I didn't plan any of this. I probably should have. I kind of just went, oh, I'll build it a whim. Oh, and then I started blending in all of my plants and things just to try and fix that bit of the mountain where there's kind of just a gap between the 2 separate projects. This is something that normally I do at the end of a project or when I've like kind of done a big chunk. But I'm trying to do it as I go along. It just made sense to me that I'd fill this in. I added some firefly bushes because I decided I wanted magical particles going on when it's dark. I really like having particle effects. I think it sometimes just adds a bit more life to a build, because I don't have like the armor stand mod that means I can put in people, so I have to try and find other ways to add life to the build. I added in a put out campfire and a grindstone and an anvil. I figured they'd maybe use their little back garden as repairs, and that was all I did for this episode. So I hope you have enjoyed. I will see you all again on